Howdy! Today is super rainy and it's very cozy. Before I get into the topic of this video, I just want to say that I did end up reading A Deal with the Elf King, which was mentioned in my previous video, and I was pretty disappointed. I actually DNF'd it, and I only had maybe about this much left of the book, and I just could not finish it. I went into reading it, knowing that it was like an adult fantasy romance, but I was expecting it to be a lot more spicy, if you get what I'm saying. And it wasn't. I know that it's a slow burn romance, but I was not expecting just how slow the story was. That basically I was just really underwhelmed, and I wasn't really invested into any of the characters or the plot. So by the time that I was like, I think I got to maybe like chapter 30 or 32, I just wasn't interested in reading it anymore, and I couldn't even finish it. But yeah, I DNF'd it. Okay, so now for the actual topic of the video. This past week, I just finished my first historical romance novel. So I've been wanting to get into more romance books, adult romance, because I realize that that's a genre that I'm interested in. And yeah, I decided to give historical romances a try. So the book that I read was A Rogue by Any Other Name by Sarah MacLean. I got this copy from Thrift Books, and I was kind of sad because I don't think they had any of the paperback version in stock. So it doesn't have like the pretty step back. I think in the future maybe I will try and find a paperback version of this. But yeah. I was originally planning on starting the Maiden Lane series by Elizabeth Hoyt, I think is the author's name. I was wanting to start that historical romance series first because I've been watching a ton of booktubers that focus on like historical romance, and a lot of the books that they recommend are actually books that are within that series, but I couldn't get my book order in time. So I had found Sarah MacLean's book, One Good Earl Deserves a Lover, at work. So I work for a public library, and at my location, that is where like the library will send book donations and damaged books. Basically, we use like a company that will properly recycle or donate the books. And since COVID, the library has a policy right now where we're not actually supposed to accept book donations, which means that all of these brand new books that people are giving us, they end up having to be recycled or like given to the organization or the company, whatever, that takes care of the donations. And so I found this on the book cart to be donated or recycled, and it was just so stunning. I mean, look at that. I love this color scheme, like the dark grays and the hot pink. And then look at this step back. Oh, she is so saucy. It's so cute. But anyway, I found this, and I thought the premise of the book sounded really interesting. So I thought that I would order the first book. So first book, second book. But so I finished reading A Rogue by Any Other Name, The First Rule of Scoundrels. So it's the first book in a 4-book series. My understanding, each book focuses on the Marbury sisters and also on these 4 gentlemen that are basically like scoundrels. I guess it's kind of like a dark romance series. I do have to say that I was pleasantly surprised going into reading this. I get really nervous about reading dark romance. In my opinion, a lot of the situations that occur in the book are kind of problematic. I know like a lot of older historical romance novels, especially in like the 70s and 80s, dealt a lot with dubious consent, which I don't really think that I feel comfortable reading about. And so I was pleasantly surprised by this because I guess it is kind of a dark romance, but there's not ever any like non-consensual things happening. I don't know. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. Okay, so I'll just read like the little blurb. A scoundrel wants, a scoundrel gets. A decade ago, the Marquess? A decade ago, the Marquess of Bourne was cast from society with nothing but his title. Now a partner in London's most exclusive gaming hell, the cold, ruthless Bourne will do whatever it takes to regain his inheritance, including marrying perfect, proper Lady Penelope Marbury. A broken engagement and years of disappointing courtships have left Penelope with little interest in a quiet, comfortable marriage, and a longing for something more. How lucky that her new husband has access to an unexplored world of pleasures. Bourne may be a prince of London's illicit underworld, but he vows to keep Penelope untouched by its wickedness. A challenge indeed as the lady discovers her own desires and her willingness to wager anything for them, even her heart. The hero of this story is named Michael Bourne, and whenever he was a young adult, during a card game, he gambled his entire inheritance and lost everything. And so over the span of 10 years, he vowed to get his revenge against the man that he was gambling with. And he developed a partnership with these 4 other gentlemen where they opened up a, what do they call it in here? They call it a gaming hell, which is basically like a gambling hall or a casino. And he's been able to build this, large empire of all these riches by working in this gaming hell. And our heroine is named Penelope Marbury, and I can't remember her title. She also has a title, and I think it was 10 years as well, like before the current events in the story. She had a broken engagement, and it was like a really big deal because basically the man that she was engaged to, he, actually fell in love with another woman and knocked her up. And so he had to break the engagement with Penelope, and it caused this huge scandal. And so she was kind of marked by society as being unweddable. And, she's turning, I think she's like 28 in the story, so she's starting to enter spinsterhood because of it. And yeah, so her father, in order to entice suitors to come and marry her, he attaches this estate to her dowry. I can't remember what the estate is called. I'm gonna have to insert the name of it. But yeah, what's funny is that estate, it was originally Michael's estate to Penelope's dowry. And whenever Michael gets word of this, he, decides to be a complete scoundrel, and he plans on marrying Penelope at all costs so that he can be one step closer to getting his revenge by re-inheriting his original estate. And by scoundrel, I mean that he literally abducts her one night, which sounds shitty, and it kind of is, but hear me out. Penelope and Michael were actually childhood friends. They were best friends, her along with another guy named Tommy. And after the whole incident with Michael's gambling, Penelope hasn't had any contact with him for 10 years. She would write him letters and he would never reply back. So Michael, abducts her one night and is he's just trying to convince her to marry him because it'll kind of benefit them both. He says, hey, I'm filthy rich now. I can give you anything that you want. I'll buy you anything. I'll make sure that you're comfortable. I just really need to marry you because I need my estate back. and I'll be one step closer to exacting my revenge. And so Penelope, well, there's an incident that happens to where she kind of has to marry him, but Penelope is starting to get really burnt out. She's constantly being pressured by her parents to marry. And also, since she's been marked by a society, there's a possibility that her younger sister's futures will be compromised and they too will have trouble marrying, you know. Yeah, Penelope, she mentions having twin sisters, but they're already married off in this book. Right now she has two younger siblings named Pippa and what is her name? I'll have to put it up here. I'm so bad at explaining books. But anyways, yeah, so Penelope agrees to marry Michael even though he's a jerk and a scoundrel. And even though she really, really wants to marry for love, she knows that this is probably the best situation that she could get. And of course, since this is a romance, over the course of the book, they start to actually fall in love. Okay, so that's all that I'm going to explain about this book. I don't really want to like give it away. I think this is like an older book too, so I feel like most people that are into historical romance, they have, you know, probably already read this series or at least heard of Sarah MacLean. But yeah, also I do want to mention that this book it's pretty spicy. It's probably the spiciest book that I've read. And by spicy, I mean there's some pretty sexy scenes in it. But yeah, there's definitely no dubious consent, which I love, even though Michael's kind of a jerk. So yeah, I don't know. I really loved it. During this book, we get introduced to the other three gentlemen that are like in charge of the gaming hell. There's Cross, who he's described as being like unusually tall and like a handsome ginger man. And I think they're like implying that he's in charge of like the financial dealings and like the paperwork side of the business. Bourne, since he's really experienced with gambling, he kind of monitors like the gaming floor and making sure that people aren't like cheating, that sort of thing. There's another gentleman named Temple who is described as being this massive tank of a man, and he assists in basically being the brawn for these gentlemen, and he's also into boxing and fighting. And from what I understand in the story, there's quite a bit of like illegal sparring that people bet on in this gaming hell. And then there is also Chase. There's another gentleman named Chase, and from my understanding, he's actually the original owner of the gaming hell. And the other books in the series basically focus on the other three gentlemen, and they end up pairing with the other sisters. So that's actually what the second book is about. This takes place after Penelope and Bourne have already married, and like the whole book has already happened, and this is about her and Cross. Yeah. I don't know. Within like the first couple chapters of A Rogue by Any Other Name, I knew that I was going to love it. I actually wrote in my book journal that I went into it expecting a 5 out of 5 stars. And yeah, I loved it. I'm obsessed. I read this pretty fast too for how quick it normally takes me to read books. I don't know, it's one of those stories where like Michael Bourne, he like turns into almost like a love to hate man. Like he does some like pretty rude things, but at the same time, since we as readers are given like his perspective on things, we know that he's basically like punishing himself because he thinks that he's like way out of league with Pippa, or not Pippa. He basically thinks that he's like way out of league, like he's not a perfect match for Penelope because he's this like tarnished man. He does some like illegal activities, and he, you know, a part of him feels awful that he's not forced, but basically like coerced Penelope into marrying him. But he has his eye on revenge, and it's so intense that he's like willing to do anything about it. And poor Penelope, she actually is, she's like already aware that she is in love with Michael because they were childhood friends and they were really close and they used to write to each other all the time. And out of anybody that she could marry, she wants it. She has always wanted it to be Michael. And so she's just really shocked to see him as like this adult man who's so cold-hearted and, you know. But love prevails, and it's just a really beautiful story. I love the like forbiddenness of Penelope exploring this gaming hell because she wants to like, you know, she wants to live like an adventurous life. And she, even though society has told her to be like this prim and proper lady, she wants to experience things. So she's like asking Michael to take her to the gaming hell. And yeah, I don't know. I just really loved it. I feel like I'm so bad at explaining these books, but yeah. I thought that I would go ahead and just show off the 3 other books. So since I originally wanted to read the Maiden Lane series, I did get this copy off of Thrift Books. This is Wicked Intentions by Elizabeth Hoyt. It is book 1 in the Maiden Lane series. I can't remember how many books are in this series, but there are 2 books in this series that I really, really want to read, which is why I picked this first one up. And unfortunately, it doesn't have the pretty step back. Okay, the next 2 I again got from work. These were brand new editions that someone had donated, but the library just could not keep. This is Sleepless in Scotland by Karen Hawkins. And then let's look at the step back. Let's see. Ooh! Look at that. Look how saucy. I'm really, really intrigued by like Scottish folk in the historical romance genre. I think it's because I've been reading Gail Carriger's Parasol Protectorate series, and the hero in that series is a Scottish werewolf, and so I'm really drawn to all these Scotsmen. This is the 4th book in a series, and from my understanding, all of the titles are basically like puns on 80s films, so like Sleepless in Scotland, like Sleepless in Seattle. And the next book is Temptation and Surrender by Stephanie Lawrence. This one doesn't have a step back either. I really want to find like pretty step backs, like step back copies of these books. I think this is a series too, but I don't know, and I don't know what number this would be. Yeah, this one isn't as interesting as the other ones to me. I think I just picked it up because it's brand freaking new and it is a historical romance. I like the cover on it. I like her gold dress. It's really pretty. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to go find and own all of these books that have these gorgeous step backs. Even before reading historical romance, I've always loved looking at the photographs or artwork that they would include in these books because they're just so dreamy. It's kind of inspiring art-wise. Like, I want to start drawing step-back art. Yeah, that's it, guys. I guess that's all I'm really gonna discuss. I really want to start this book next, but I have to read this young adult fiction that I have checked out because there's like 3 holds on it and I feel bad if I'm just like carrying it around. But yeah, so this will be the next book that I start, and I'll be sure to update everybody on how I feel about it. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any historical romance suggestions that you think I would be interested in reading, you can leave them down in the comments below. Or if you've read any of these books, you can give me your, thoughts and opinions. I would love to know. And yeah, I'm gonna go now. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.